G'day guys, I hope you, your friends, family, community members and members are all travelling well. In this week's episode, we're going to have a conversation with Brett Petterson, our Infrastructure and Planning Manager at Tennis New South Wales. Brett comes with a wealth of knowledge from both the government side of things as well as project management. And so I'm excited that he's going to take us through how we can be grant ready. Obviously, this is a great opportunity for all of us as there's numerous grants out in the marketplace, both currently and ongoing. And Brett's going to give us some tips and tricks as to how we can be most prepared. I hope you enjoy the session. All right, g'day, Brett. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having a chat to me today, Mark.
No worries, guys. So we've got Brett Petterson here who's going to talk to us about being grant ready and how we can better project plan through our clubs and our businesses. Mate, before we get into that, there's a great image behind you there. Can you talk to that a little bit?
What you can see behind you is the all-new Ken Rosewell Arena, which was completed. The new roof was completed in December last year in time for ATP Cup, and it was a pretty significant project for Tennis New South Wales and tennis community here. And as a result of this project and a number of other elements, it meant we were able to bring the ATP Cup to Sydney in the finals, and for the first time in a long time, the quality of players. And I think that was a fantastic outcome for anyone who loves watching great quality tennis in Sydney.
Excellent, mate. I love it. Very good. And we're talking about being project ready. How do you feel you went, mate, you and the team? So you played a pretty key role in rolling this one out.
I would suggest this is KRA is not the benchmark for how you get project and investment ready, but certainly very worthwhile, fulfilling project and required a lot of attention and over a very short 10-month period.
Oh, mate, in a very short window and under some tough deadlines, you've done a great job. It's a beautiful arena. But today, obviously, we're talking now at, I guess, a club level and at a business level. So what I guess I want to understand for the people out there is how can we be as project ready and grant ready as we can be, especially in an environment as such where there are quite a few opportunities out there?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of my main messages is about going slower to move quicker. And really it's around preparation and alignment. And what that means is spending a bit of time working out what the needs of the facility and the club are. It's part of its long-term strategic planning, what its asset condition is, what are the things that make that facility successful or the opportunities to make it successful in the future, and then aligning that project with those things. And then in particular, as most of our facilities are council-owned facilities, that means they're community facilities. Therefore, clubs and operators that are using those facilities are, a custodian to those facilities for a short period of time, and they need to align what is the community looking to get out of that facility and how can they deliver a better service through it. So they're a couple of the first key questions, and then it's really about getting that council engaged in the process. Do they endorse and support the plans that have been put together by the club or the operator, and that gives you a pretty firm place to start. And then as a partnership, you can work together and use your combined resources and know-how to then take a project forward.
Yeah, right. That's mate, I think there are about 8 key points in there that I loved all of them. I think that's probably one of the key things though is so often we see a grant come up and there's only a week's window, and so we're rushing to do a grant application, but it doesn't necessarily fit into a bigger picture. And I think for me, that's one of the key things is having that strategic vision, that alignment of some of the key projects that you want to do, and then knowing how those key projects align to your partners, whether that's the council, office of sport, whoever it may be, to achieve an outcome for the community. Um, so I think that's some really good feedback there, mate. In terms of going through that process, are there any key tips or tricks that you'd really recommend to our stakeholders to do if they're at a club level within that process? Are there key areas that you're like, you've really got to spend a heap of time in this space, and this is a really good trick, or this is something that might be beneficial that you've seen work in being successful in obtaining a grant?
Yeah. Well, firstly, a grant application is unlikely to be successful. Therefore, it's a waste of your time and those who are involved, as well as those assessing, if you haven't done the preparation work.
Okay.
So, doing a half-baked application where you can't answer the key questions. And grant application processes are fairly formulaic. They're very similar to each other. So getting investment ready, getting project ready means not necessarily being worried about a grant opportunity that's available and you've got a week to complete it. These are the same steps that you put in place and be ready over the medium long term as funding opportunities come up.
Okay, perfect.
And maybe one of the other things to do is, and it depends on the size of project, but in my experience, a seed amount of funding can be a great leverage tool to leverage others, and
Hmm.
you build upon that over time. So to get a grant, start off with uh, perhaps it's $100,000 lighting project. You might start off with $10,000 to $20,000 that the club might be able to commit to, and you go to council and you're able to talk to them about that. They might be able to put 30,000. You might have $50,000 already on the table towards that project in principle, and you're seeking half then from a grant funding opportunity. That's a great way to leverage that grant rather than starting with nothing. It gives the grant body a greater sense that this project is achievable and has the requisite support to take it through, as opposed to those other commitments needing to be lined up afterwards with no guarantee. They want to see their money spent on the outcomes that their program is designed towards, and they want to see that spent within the period of time that
Yep.
they've set.
No, that's again, I really like that bit of advice where you've got that skin in the game as well. You've put some money on the table, and I think that's a great thing to ensure that each of our stakeholders has in mind. Um, Obviously, you're a wealth of knowledge. You've got a great team up there at Tennis New South Wales head office. How can we best leverage you?
It's a good question. I really see our role is to provide a capacity building role to our team, and
Yep.
they then be an extension of our team, working day to day with our stakeholders, our members, our those interested in getting a project going forward. We'll provide the resources, we'll improve the templates and the communication about when grant opportunities are coming up on our website. And the best way to leverage us is to be able to tap into those resources. And if you have any questions about where something is or need a little bit of extra help, then that's where we might be able to come in. We certainly don't want to see, if it can be helped at all, late requests for information and help, because that's certainly where we're going to struggle to be able to help you, help your staff, help our stakeholders. We certainly want to get ahead of this as much as possible and work together with some of that long-term planning, such that if there needs to be a discussion how better to work with council and get an engagement plan, how to leverage council, we can put that in place over a longer period of time. And that's where we'll provide the most value, is where we can have a more meaningful, provide more meaningful and nuanced guidance.
Okay, perfect, mate. I think yeah, for the stakeholders out there listening, this Brett and his team have developed a really great grants toolkit, which has a whole heap of documents that your CDOs can access and assist you and work through with you. And then if there are any challenges, we can work through it up the line. And if we need to, reach out to Brett and the team and get some extra advice where needed. Um, Mate, that's all I really wanted to touch on today. That's a really good snapshot of you guys and your team, and I think there's some really golden nuggets in there as to how you can be best prepared to get grants. So thank you, mate. Are there any other final bits that you wanted to throw out there?
No, just it's very template driven. These are quite formulaic. They're not just a tick box. They get meaningful information, meaningful data about your facility and what the community want and what grants, what outcomes grants opportunities are trying to achieve, and try and find a way to align with those and you'll have great success. So good luck to everyone with their projects, and we look forward to hearing about what's coming up in the pipeline and how we might be able to help.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Brett. Appreciate your time, mate.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
So there you have it, guys. A really high level view of how we can be more grant ready. As Brett said at the start, it's more about going slower to move quicker. And that's in the preparation, ensuring that we have a strategic plan and we know where projects are going to be, and therefore we know which grants are going to be applicable to us and we can align with whoever's providing that grant. Now, as I also mentioned, our CDOs have an entire grant toolkit, and so we'll be able to work through that process with you so that we're prepared early on, so that when these grants come up, we're in a far better position to be able to take them on and hopefully have more success. Until next time, thanks for listening.